Hello, new YouTube member. Guess what? You've just unlocked bonus content that no one else has seen before, and you get exclusive access to some neat features. If you join the Experiencers Anonymous tier, you've unlocked loyalty badges which will appear next to your name when you join us live during any of our videos. The longer you stay with us, the cooler the badge will be. Also, you get to use these cool custom emojis that we made just for you. You also get to access our private Discord chat where we can communicate all the time privately. All you have to do is email us at admin@tessacan.org. Let us know you want in on the discussion and we will send you the link directly to Discord. This tier also unlocks early access to new videos, behind the scenes and blooper footage, as well as some exclusive videos made just for members. All that for $2.99 Canadian a month. If you join the unclassified tier for $4.99 Canadian, you would get everything I just said, plus extended footage of some of our featured videos, a discount to our merch store, and so much more. If you are a member of the unclassified tier, email us at admin@tessacan.org and let us know, and we will send you a discount code for the Paranormal Hangar. All proceeds go back into the mission and help us create educational content for you and the rest of the world. Thank you for being a part of that journey. There are lots of perks, so make sure you check that out. Also, you can use this tab to share and communicate with Tessa. That's it. Unless you have a better idea. If you do, email us at admin@tessacan.org if you have any requests for videos or bonus perks or anything at all. Really, you are in charge. Don't be afraid to reach out. Thanks for your support, and if you know anyone else who may benefit, please share our channel. The more people we have, the more we can help. And thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. Say it with me. Say it, Tim.
Heed the world.
Heed the world.
This is Lady Anne, owner of KPNL Radio and hostess of the Caravan Library of Lore, and I support Tessa. As an experiencer myself, I have filed my own reports with them, and the professionalism and heart they have shown my case goes above and beyond. If you have had an experience, I cannot recommend Tessa enough.
Hi, this is Ernie Hudson, Winston Zedmore from Ghostbusters. I want to let you know that Ryan Stacy, he's created the Experiencer Support Association, TESA. You can check them out at www.tesacan.org. Now, they investigate paranormal, UFO, and provide support to experiencers. You can check them out at, like I said, www.tesacan.org and see for yourself if they're really Ghostbusters. I can tell you this, they are a non-profit organization. Good luck, have fun, and keep it blessed.
Good evening. You are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencers Support Association. Tessa is a UFO, paranormal, and paracryptid investigation association. We investigate everything belonging to the global phenomenon linked to highly strange and unexplained experiences. We also connect experiencers with other experiencers, creating a safe, positive environment to engage and discuss this phenomenon without judgment, criticism, or retribution. From the land of the white rolling sands on the southeasterly tip of Georgian Bay, to all of you listening around the world, as we simulcast live on KPNL Radio, we salute you. If you want to go back and listen to our previous episodes, go to youtube.com/the Experiencer Support Association. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be instantly notified when we are live, not only for these episodes, but every single element Tessa has to offer. On our website, tessacan.org, we have something for everyone. We have support for experiencers, data for independent researchers, and places to advertise for professional partners. Hello, everybody. Today's Thursday, July 1st, 2021. It is Canada Day. Happy Canada Day to anyone, all our fellow Canadians out there. I, Ryan Stacey, am your host this evening. Remember, to super chat, just click the $ next to your name in the comment box and choose any amount you want to donate and ask your questions live. If you are catching this on the replay, most likely because you're celebrating Canada Day, please consider becoming a member and unlock bonus content, including behind-the-scenes bloopers and extended footage of new project developments. Our guest for Season 3, Episode number 21 is Shane Pettman. Shane grew up in a Christian home that was involved in the fellowship of evangelical Baptists. He grew up in a time where he did what everybody else did to get along. He told the line by following the denomination standards so that you got into heaven. Eventually, he saw a lot of hypocrisy in the church. Then, as a barkeep, he saw those people come into the bar and get wasted on a Saturday night, mess around, do whatever they felt like, and then show up on Sunday just to play the game. Shane didn't want to play the game. He walked away from the church and chose to live his life occasionally walking down a dark road. His faith has been on a steady decline from 2000 to approximately 2011. He found solace in alternative news reporting. In 2011, he revisited his faith, confessing to everyone that he had going on in his life. He revisited his faith and confessed to everything that he had going on in his life. He began searching and providing a Christian perspective on alternative media, which sparked his curiosities, asking pastors about fringe topics like cryptozoology, hollow earth, angels, demons, ghosts, and supernatural things. These pastors did not have any answers. They did not want to talk about those things. But why? Shane found a correlation between the things that the pastors don't want to talk about and the movies, television shows, which broadcast across mass media. Shane believes that good pastors should have answers, whether convenient or not. First, to have a handle of the complex topics and give people a reasonable explanation. Second, not be intellectually lazy and care enough about the people to discuss the more profound issues. As a lack thereof, Shane has searched on those deeper topics for many years. Shane has appeared on the TV docuseries The Devil You Know, a review of Sherry Shriner and her ministry. In this episode, we are going to explore his life, religions, cults, faith, and possibly reptilian control. This one is going to be controversial. Sorry, not sorry. Shane, put on your tinfoil hat. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Really happy to be here.
Right on, man. So you're in a park right now, eh? Just walking about?
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, my house is not always the most peaceful environment. And so I come and risk it with the public in the woods. Why not? It's more peaceful out here for me. I'm going to try and stay in wind shadow. You make a little wind noise now and again. I'll try and cup my mic on my earphones or get out of it. But I find when I move around and like a walk and talk, the juices get flowing a little better, right? Like if you sit and you're stagnant, then your mind's going to want to sit and be stagnant. But if you are moving, then your mind can move a little more freely, I find too. So.
No worries. No, I appreciate that. So I will sit here and be stagnant. while we while we go
Well,
through the next.
this is how it works for me. I'm kind of fluffy. I might fall asleep on you. So
It's all good.
keep moving
So-
and I'm awake.
The first question that we're going to get into tonight, we do the segment. It's called the Icebreaker. It's brought to you by Tim the Demon Guy Morrison. One second. So Tim the Demon Guy Morrison, he will give me a question that I have no idea what it is until now, and he's out in the field right now. So he actually messaged me on Facebook, and I'm going to read this off the cuff, and then we'll just get into it. So his question is this: if you could kill off a character in any current TV show, who would it be and why?
Well,
Where do you,
I got to be honest with you. I don't really watch a lot of TV. The thing that I've watched most recently was probably Stranger Things, but
yeah.
or I watched Little Mr. Robot. But if you kill off the characters, you're going to spoil the whole plot. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure all those characters were there for a reason. So
I don't make
I don't
these
know.
questions, Tim. All right. Well, there's your answer,
I don't know,
Tim.
Tim. You know what, Tim? Tim, he got me. He got me. I dodged the whole darn thing. He got me. He stumped me.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of anything either. Good question, Tim. Sorry. Not sorry. Okay, so with your bio, your bio is like a roller coaster between faith coming and going, starting, losing, coming back. So I guess my first question to kick off the night would be, with everything that you've been through today at this moment, where do you sit with your faith and religion?
Well, in the middle of a war, to be honest with you. In the middle of a spiritual warfare, to be honest. It's tested and tried daily. I feel like, honestly, I could easily be a hostage negotiator, very easily. And with all that said, you know what? I appreciate it. I believe that I'm being prepared for wild times coming upon this earth, and I accept it, and I'm thankful, even though it's extremely trying. I mean, there's a lot of things in the world where if they want to do something, they test it first. So if your faith isn't tested, it's not really faith, because you're doing it all on your own, right? So where do I stand right now? Extremely challenged, happy, thankful, and day to day, one day at a time. This is a pretty messed up world we live in, and I'm not immune. So I guess that's my answer.
Yeah, no,
say
it's all
more.
good. So what is it that you're being prepared for? What is it you feel that you're, I guess, you're Christian, right? So you're Catholic, Christian
Yeah.
gods?
Definitely not a Catholic. No.
Okay, so Christian,
And I
sorry.
wouldn't even just Christian. Yeah. Well, again, I have to think how to even unpack it, where to start. But I believe that the world is being ushered into a new world order, and you're going to be stuck with the choice. You're going to have to decide, yay or nay. You're going to take it, or are you going to take what the world has to offer, or are you going to take what God has to offer? And the world's offer is going to look pretty juicy. And it's going to come at a time when people are extremely desperate. In like life or death desperate. And if you can't connect with a personal relationship with God in a supernatural way, you will not understand that there is hope. It will look completely and utterly hopeless and devoid of any hope. In fact, the world The Bible says in one scripture that men's hearts will fail them for fear. That means their heart's literally just going to stop because they're going to be so scared from what they see. And if you're not prepared for what's coming, and I don't know for sure that I am, I'm not standing here on top of a pulpit or on some high mountain telling you that I'm King Dingling or anything else. I'm saying if you're not prepared, you could be that person. And so I believe I'm in a way being prepared for those things, and I accept it, right? What's coming upon this earth? Full tilt communism, a mark on your hand or your forehead that allows you to buy or sell. If you don't take all of your jabs, if you don't take all of your marks, if you don't play by the new world order, if you don't play by the what is the exact name that Klaus Schwab from the World Bank uses, and Trudeau, what's the name they use? The Great Reset. We have an opportunity, the German guy, he's like Dr. Evil. We have an opportunity for a great reset. What are you resetting? What? Hold on. Since when do you get to decide that my life is no good and you got to reset it? And what are your qualifications to reset my life? I'd like to know. Well, if you look into their qualifications, I think you can draw your own conclusions. But it's not qualifications that I honor. So
that's good for
I believe,
you.
yeah, it's hell on wheels. It's coming to this earth fast.
And so let's elaborate on that, because the Christian perspective on what is happening right now.
What's happening right now? Well, 35 miles off the, let's talk from a geopolitical standpoint. Okay. 35 miles or 30 miles off the coast of Hawaii, Russia had an entire fleet that was running an exercise about a week ago, and they were practicing an exercise to sink naval destroyers or something like that, or naval aircraft carriers. And this is just off the coast of Hawaii. The UK and the USA have been spoofing the whereabouts of their entire Pacific or Atlantic fleet or something. But all I know is they were spoofing. So they made it look on the radar and through their systems like their entire fleet was there. And then they found out later on it wasn't. And they did that twice in the last week. And that's, I think, over in the Mediterranean or the Black Sea. Like, you'd have to go to my Telegram group to confirm some of this, because I cover a lot of ground on a lot of different topics. But the world geopolitical scene is absolutely a dumpster fire, and you'll never hear about it on the mainstream media. Not a peep, right? They just keep playing these games and throwing these red herrings out there. Oh, what about Epstein? What about this? What about that? All of that stuff, those are red herrings. Yes, those are things that may or may not really be going on, but those things are to distract us. And in Canada, the Indigenous situation, I'm really sorry that that's going on. I have a lot of friends in the Swampy Cree from Moose Factory in Moosonee in Ontario, and from the Thompson, Manitoba area, and at Kiosk. But just the same, they use that as a distraction. They use the native people, and they're using them again, and they're using us as a distraction for something much, much bigger. And it's disgusting. It's not surprising to me, because that's what they do. They'll trot something out there, and they'll trot out all of the outrage and all of the things and the emotions that people feel that are negative, and all of that negative stuff is fuel for them. And it's cover. It's a smoke show. So behind the scenes, they're doing much crazier things.
So what is it that's really coming? What are they distracting us from?
Well, they publicly stated in the media, as an example, in Canada, they publicly stated that they have internment camps. So basically prison camps. And go leak this. This is on mainstream media. You can go check that. And he leaked it, and he said that they have these prison camps for COVID and other things or something like that. Excuse me? Other things? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? So, you know that thing where they go and they argue in front of the guy in the big green chair here in Canada? What do they call that? CPAC or whatever? Maybe that's American. I might be getting them confused. You know where they have like a judge or a guy up front and he says, hey, you calm down. You're out of order. It's like a court sort of thing where they banter back and forth in the parliament.
Yeah.
So there's this MP who went there, Randy, who my brother is friends with and I'm aware of. We're Facebook friends and all that stuff. So Randy Hillier goes to Parliament and he's doing a cross the floor thing with Trudeau. And he says to him, Mr. Trudeau, you mentioned last week in the media about these internment camps. And you mentioned they were for COVID and other things. Could you elaborate on the other things? What exactly are you talking about? They pulled his mic. I don't watch a lot of these things, but they actually pulled his microphone out. I've never seen that in Parliament. They have a Speaker of the House who regulates things and tells people, no, you calm down, hold on, relax. We've all seen full-on screaming, name-calling matches ever since we were children. And this guy asked that question and they pulled the mic. I've never seen it before. This is probably maybe 3 or 4 months ago now. I've seen leaked pictures of these camps in Etobicoke. I've seen pictures of the camps in Manitoba, and I have a friend who lives about 20 minutes from one. He says, dude, they're real. I know, it's 20 minutes from my house. Because I just worked in the province of Manitoba for 3 years in a camp job in the north in the wilderness there. So they have these camps all around Canada that are not just for COVID, and I have a sneaky suspicion that some of us might get a free ride there.
And so what's going to happen to the rest of us?
You're going to have to make a choice, right? In the States, I've heard they have marked out in some areas. I heard this years ago, but basically they have everybody categorized. So if you're red, you're not going to make it. If you're blue, there's a chance. It's sort of a wait and see, depending on your actions and your attitudes when they come across you. Depends on whether you get to go with them while you're still here or with them cold. Let's put it that way. Green is you'll do whatever you're told. You're an absolute spineless muppet, and you'll be happy to join up with Satan's posse. So I'm pretty sure they're running something similar in Canada. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you have, what do they call that? LinkedIn? Do you have that?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a LinkedIn profile. I don't do much on it. It's just basically profiling my trade skills and stuff like that. Really, it's quite sad. But I was on there, and you know, maybe subscribers who are on LinkedIn will have seen this. So LinkedIn will tell you, unlike a lot of other social media, who was looking at your profile.
Mm-hmm.
It was really fuzzy, but it sounds even more crisp now. It sounds phenomenal. Anyways, LinkedIn will tell you exactly who was looking at your profile. So I just happened to go to my LinkedIn, which I only go like every couple months, not even. But I happened to go there one time, and it said, you could see the professionals who go through your profile and stuff. I was like, okay. So I'm looking, professional. Okay, that's interesting. There was 3 or 4. The one I look at, RCMP. Oh, that's strange. RCMP is following my profile. I wonder why. I'm not a criminal. You know, I don't do any stuff that would be really deemed criminal by any standard. I'm a serious born-again Christian. Why would they be following my profile? I got an idea.
What's so okay? So let's stay in that realm, but let's segue into something else too. So what's the difference between government and religion?
Well, really, I don't know. I might dance around questions or whatever. So the government is basically a body of people who have determined that they get to make choices in your life, hopefully for good, and hopefully you've agreed on together for those people to get sorted. It's sort of, I think it should sort of follow the way that, the kingship did in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's completely rotten and corrupt. And then if you look at religion, like I'm picky about words too, right? And I'm not trying to come down on you or anything, but if you look at religion, it's awful. Religion is absolutely awful. And they're both absolutely corrupt as far as I'm concerned, like in one way, shape, or form. From my personal standpoint, I like to take a step back from both of those. I'd say I despise religion, and I'm really, really not fond of government. Mm-hmm. I think there should be as little government as possible. But I think it's all about relationship, to be honest with you. I think it's about having a personal relationship with God, talking to him daily. And I'm not saying I'm really good at it. I'm not trying to tell you something that I'm not. I'm trying to be absolutely honest. I talk to him daily and all the time, but there's always room for improvement. But I believe it's all about relationship more than all this the dogma and everything else. Like, even though we talk about all these things and clearly I don't fit in, and a lot of your viewers will probably feel the same way, like they don't really fit in when they go places because of the topics and the things that they're involved in or interested in. I don't particularly fit in a religious context either, because I don't adhere strictly to denominational doctrines. If you spend enough time with me, I'm sure we can become very good friends, but I'm sure positive there will come a time, Christian, non-Christian, no matter what, where we definitely disagree on things, right? And when it comes to religious people, I find that they're actually nastier a lot of times than just regular people I meet in the world, because they get locked into an idea or a mentality that absolutely has to be, and they're going to be really rude and mean about it a lot of times. They're going to have a hard time controlling their emotions because they're too invested in being right. And so, I don't know. So, it's a bit of a wild ride.
Is it possible that they're the same? Are they the same thing, though? That's what I was getting at. It's a loaded question, because I wanted to kind of have a discussion on whether or not they're two separate entities, or if they have to both have to exist. Can one exist without the other?
Very close.
Do you think one could exist without the other?
No. Actually, I don't. No. Because, I mean, God set forth principles in the Bible, and he said, okay, if you do this, it's going to work, and you'll do good. If you do this, it's not going to work, and bad things will happen. And this is like, there's laws that are in the Bible, written and sort of unwritten, implied. There's a lot of things in there. And it's like, you can't have a world that's not governed by laws. And if you have a government or a governing by laws, then you have to have a structure. And usually if you have a structure, then you have to have, whether it's the church or the government, you have elders, you have people that you look up to. There is a framework, right? And I don't think you can get away from that framework.
So which came first?
It's just
the government or religion?
I would say religion. Religion
religion.
developed the government.
Exactly. See, see, I didn't want to come out and say it. I just wanted to kind of lead into whether or not, government created religion or religion created government.
These are good questions.
Thanks. This is off the cuff because I didn't have much time to prep anything. So this is good. I'm intrigued.
You know what? I don't generally prep. I don't prep things either. But what I did prep with is I prayed. And I talked to some of my friends in prayer wars, and I said, "Can you pray for this episode? Because I want to make a difference, right?
Yeah.
I want it to be engaging. I want us to enjoy ourselves. I want a lot of aha moments for all of us, right?"
No, I appreciate that. So let's get into the spiritual part. So how does your faith tie in with your research on these fringe topics? So you mentioned cryptozoology, hollow earth, angels, demons, ghosts, paranormal, all that other stuff. Where does with the pastors and the trouble that you had in the past, were these Christian pastors or were they Catholic pastors? Like where, how are you able to be so involved in your faith, but yet dabble into what could be considered demons or bad, but yet still walk a path, a positive path of enlightenment as you're expressing?
Well, I think, again, I'm thinking back and tying it in with my other question. There's a framework, right? So I went to mainstream church the way regular would go to mainstream media for information.
Mm-hmm.
And they failed me miserably, right? I talked with a pastor who I really respect. We went out in Canada. We go to Tim Hortons. It's like a Canadian tradition pretty much. And we went to the coffee shop there. We had our Timmies, for about 45 minutes, large coffee. And, not being rude, but I put them on blast. I just started unloading both barrels. Pow, 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 letting them have it. I can only think what some of the people were thinking in the lineups and in the Tim Hortons, but frankly, I didn't give a rip. And he sat there like flabbergasted. Like he's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And at the end, he's like, "Shane, that's incredible." He said, "But the people in my church, they can't handle that. They're not ready for that." Right. Yeah. And I was really disappointed. I thought, you're supposed to be the shepherd. And now we're in this situation here where your people aren't going to be prepared for what's coming, So I tried to level with them, but I'm not.
What do you think the why is?
But I'm very cautious. The why?
Yeah, the why as to. Yeah, but why do they need to why the divide? Why the camps? Why the control? Why now?
These people. Wow. Why now? They've been working on this for a long time. They run things on 1,000 fronts at least, if not more. And so the pastors would be a small cog in that wheel, in that they feel that if they say the wrong things, they will lose their job. It goes to that core thing that humans have to survive and protect their family or procreate. You know what I mean? And it cuts to the core, because these pastors feel like if I say that, there's a governmental framework within a church that has a deacons board and a bunch of members who are seniors level members in the church. They can kick a pastor out of a church. So if they start stepping on people's toes in controversial topics like this, they might lose their job and their spiritual front that they've been working on. And I don't mean front in a bad way, but their mission field. Basically, the challenge is, would you give, or would you be willing to give everything that you hold dear in this life for the truth? And there's not many that are willing to take that challenge. I think I only took it because God put me in that in a position to take it. I'm not sure I would have willingly took it or maybe gone even anywhere close to where I went now if I wasn't involved in those struggles that we talked about earlier. Because a lot of how I dealt and coped with those struggles was to pour myself into my research and my other things. I'm not saying that's healthy, but that's what I've done for a lot of years.
So I'll give you some context too, and this is some personal stuff for our viewers as well. Like I was heavily into faith as well at a very young age. 15 years old, I had considered becoming a priest or a pastor myself. And in order to, to pursue that, I looked into the Bible very, very intently. And within the first, chapter of Genesis, taking the book literally and using a dictionary and then all these other things just to understand the context of what was actually being written, had many questions. And I went down that same path where I had asked people in Sunday school and stuff like that, too, pastors and all that for the answers, and they just said God is just this and this and that. They just didn't have an answer for it too. So I can relate to how you knew that there was more going on. So, as an example, in the Genesis, it mentions that we were made in their image and their likeness. So that's plural for one, not him, not singular for another. So why do you, I guess a two-part question would be, what is your book of faith, if anything, if you have a book of volume of sacred law, if there is one for you, and how accurate is that to what's going on, I guess?
Okay, so first of all, I would say that my core would be the 66 books of the Bible, but unlike other Christians, I look at those 66 books of the Bible and I go, 66, huh? Not 67 or not 75, or like I look at that, right? Why 66, right? Was there more? Was there less? So I have a really good friend. He has a channel called Apocryphal 1970, I think it is. Robert, his name will come to me. But he talks all about the extra biblical works and pseudo-epigraphal works, and they cover Gnostic books as well. And I am more than willing to look at those things and pray about them and consider what if. I don't consider those like, quote, gospel. I don't hang my hat on those. I don't preach at people and say, well, you have to look at the book of Maccabees or whatever the case may be. But, there's more. The New Testament tells you there's more. The New Testament says if everything that Jesus was done was written down, that it would fill more books, or so many books that it would fill the world. And I think I'm paraphrasing, but you get the gist. There's so much more. And Christians like to say, 66 books, KJV, and they hang their hat on it. Again, you're not being as intellectually honest as you probably could. And so I go deeper. The Bible is the be all end all for me. But again, what Bible? Right? Because some people say, well, NIV's no good, or this is no good. I think that the Bible's alive. So here's the deal when it comes to translation. I think the Bible's alive, and the author is there with you every time you read it. Okay. That book can come alive. That book can touch you in ways that you never knew you could be touched. Spiritually, physically, miracles, supernatural, beyond your wildest dreams, if you're willing to humble yourself and ask God to help you to read it. But there's more, and God wants you to have more. But again, you got to be humble. And I don't know. I might be rambling. I'm sure I am. But yeah.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm listening. So, I'm kind of leading you into some questions here. That's why. So this is good. So to segue into that, what is, I guess we can go either way with this too, because this kind of matches with the first part. But are you familiar with the United States and this declassification of UAP phenomenon that's going on? Have you heard about that?
Absolutely. Canada is doing similar.
We haven't been hearing about it in Canada. What do you know about that?
Not the same way. Not the same way. Well, there was a general, a retired general. I'm sure you saw this. It was a famous video, but a retired chief of command, I guess. I don't know what you call him with the Canadian military, and he came right out and said that, oh yeah, I ran into these different types of extraterrestrial entities, and there's, I forget what he said, 30 some odd known entities or whatever, and he just came right out and spilled the beans. Hillier, I think his last name was Hillier.
Paul Hillier.
Yeah. So he came right out and just spilled the beans, and this was years ago now, and he's still been talking about those things. And well, if you understand, again, we always talk about that structure. Everything has a structure. If you understand the structure, then you got to say, wait a minute, how come the media allowed him to talk about that? How can he be retired from the Canadian military, the chief commanding guy, or the big guy for the Canadian military? He's still honorable. They didn't run him through the mud. They didn't cut him down and say a bunch of nasty stuff that I know of, right? And how can they let him get away with that? Because that whole structure there is very closely monitored and controlled. I mean, extremely monitored and controlled. It's no accident that information came out. Why are they allowing that information out there? Well, they're setting us up, right? They've been setting us up for a long time.
Yeah. What is the end game?
I'm trying to remember the end game is to get you to accept them, right?
Okay. Now, are they in the Bible?
Absolutely.
In what form are they in the Bible?
Demons and fallen angels. You're going to get a little bit of wind noise here. I just got to go to my car and get a backup battery, and then I'll get back into a little quieter spot.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, they're in the Bible. They're demons or they're fallen angels.
Okay.
And that's it. Now, the Bible talks about 9 different ranks of angels, specifically that Lucifer was in charge of when he was in charge or the son of the Morning Star administration.
Mm-hmm.
So as the head of the Morning Star administration, what he did was he went to the throne room of God and he talked to God, and the Holy Spirit, or the Ruach HaKodesh, would tell him, I want you to tell the other angelics and the other created beings. And Lucifer would go out with his other people that went with him, his entourage, and speak to the other created beings and the angelics, and the words that came from the Holy Spirit, Lucifer told to them, would give them life and give them energy. And they talk about this in the movies. They've been telling us about this for a long time, but you got to know what you're looking at, right? So behind the scenes, they talk about, as an example, in Transformers, they talk about they lost the Allspark, right? The Allspark is the Holy Spirit. They're telling you what's going on behind the scenes, right? And they're conditioning us every day. Don't think for a second they're not conditioning us in ways that just boggle the mind. They're conditioning us. So we can get into that if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, no, let's keep going on that. So fallen angels, demons, conditioning. Let's keep going.
Okay, so these fallen angels, they had the war in heaven. When they had the war in heaven, the Bible says that a third of them were kicked out of heaven. So it would make sense if Lucifer was in charge of 9 ranks, that there's a minimum of 9 different types of fallen angels that fell with him, right?
Right.
On top of that, if you get into really deep into the Greek and Hebrew, and again, you have to forgive me, I've learned a lot of stuff, but I've scratched the surface on a lot of it, and there's so many different directions to go that I'm going to be paraphrasing some stuff. You'll have to do a lot of your own research too. But I'm friends with Dr. Michael Heiser loosely for a number of years on Facebook. And he's one of the world's leading Hebrew scholars. And he studies the ancient Hebrew. I think they call it Proto-Hebrew. And so I forget exactly where I was going. But if you get into the ancient Hebrew and the language, then you get like a deeper and a broader understanding of exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so these, these fallen angels, yes, okay. So they were disconnected from the throne of God. So when they're disconnected from the throne room of God, they've lost the allspark. So they don't have an energy source, right? So you guys have followed the Transformers movies. You know what happens. Without that allspark, they're in trouble. They're dying, essentially. So now they have to connect to an alternative energy source. The alternative energy source is us. Now, they've wanted to get back with God, but some of them in particular, especially the 200 watchers that fell, that were described in the book of Enoch, that mated with human women, they asked God for forgiveness, and God said, absolutely not. What you did was despicable, and it was an ultimate slap in the face, and you will not be forgiven. So after that, they carried on and decided, well, if they're in trouble and they're not going to be able to go back, they might as well go all in. So they went all in, and they didn't just mate with humans. They mated with everything else. They crossed with insects, animals, anything, right? Creating all these hybrids. And that is the basis of mythology, which is actually based, and if you compare a large comparison of all the mythologies and you follow the common thread, that's pretty much exactly what I believe happened historically. And so that's one of the reasons they had to try and wipe out all the indigenous people around the world, because their story sticks a lot more true to reality than what they want to sell you, right? But anyways, these fallen angels, they're disconnected, and they need that energy source. That energy source, like it's like in the Matrix, it's negativity. It's bad experiences in our hearts and in our lives. It's negative emotions. It's sin of every type. That's what they feed off of, because we actually are still, every human has the capacity to connect to God and to connect to the throne room of God through a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and be born again. But even if you don't choose to connect with God, there's still the opportunity there. There's still energy, and there's still hope, and there's things that they can draw off of you. And so, like the Matrix, they have us hooked up through different ways, and they've created, some of us are, the equivalent of a watch battery, but then they set up other things like abortion, which would be the equivalent of maybe a massive nuclear facility, or they'll set up a war, and that would be like another massive wind power farm or something, right? And so they feed off of that energy and those negative things that we experience and that we do. And that's how they move their agenda forward. That's why a lot of these things are happening. That's why the world is going into more and more debauchery every day, because he's losing time. Time is linear. Time has a beginning and an end. God exists before time, in time, and outside of our time matrix simultaneously. But there is definitely an end to this time. And he wants to complete his task and beat God before time's up. And he knows it's closing in. So that's why the things are ramping up in the world.
So where's God now? Where's God now?
Well, I've always used an analogy. It's kind of crass, but I say that, God's not a rapist. He's a gentleman, So God's right there beside you if you want to talk to God. He's anywhere you can go. You can't go anywhere in the heavens, in the earth, inside the earth that God is not. It's just, are you willing to be humble? Are you willing to talk to God? And are you willing to do what he wants to do? He wants to have a relationship with you, but he's not going to force you. If you force a relationship on a person, the world and the law has names for that, and it's not nice. It's not acceptable. And so he's not going to break something basic like that. He's not going to bully you. But in the end, if you choose not to have a relationship with him, then you will have to deal with your choice, which probably will be the lake of fire.
How do we know it's a he and not a she?
Well, again, if you get into the Hebrew and you get into the nouns and the verbiage, God's never referred to as a she. That's it. It's pretty simple.
Okay. All right, so let's segue into how does this fit with the government and religion today, and like where are the fallen angels right now?
Okay, so people in the highest levels of government are selected, not elected. Elections are a sham, they're a joke, they mean nothing. All they are is another outlet to feed off of your energy. If you're willing to go there and argue points back and forth and give energy to those elections, you're feeding the fallen angels. If you engage. I choose not to engage. I know that it means nothing. They're going to do what they're going to do. I also know that the Bible's pretty clear. God can put in there whoever he wants, and he can use whoever he wants while they're in there. Just because they may work for a person who I would deem the enemy doesn't mean that he can't control them. In fact, the Bible talks that and says in the Old Testament, I think it's in Psalms, that God turns the hearts of the kings like the rivers in a stream, whichever way he wants. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, the people that are in there, technically as Christians, we're supposed to pray for them. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't prayed for Mr. Trudeau. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Trudeau is a Illuminati Muppet and involved in some very deep, dark, nefarious things with some bad people. And I think he's bound and determined to slow roast. I'm not even sure he's fully human, to be honest with you.
Okay, there's two things I want to segue into that. So first of all, what is Illuminati in your perspective?
Illuminati just is it's a technical term meaning it goes back to illumination, but it just means the light, sort of. But basically, there's two types of light. God has a light, but then Lucifer has his own light. And these people would be trying to follow Lucifer's light, which the scriptures talk about. It seems good, but it's not good. Lucifer's own light. The Bible's pretty clear about that. So you can think I'm doing all these good things and I'm involved in these things, and it could have a new age thing or some other stuff. And I don't want to step on people's toes, but again, here we go. I mean, if you're involved in certain things that seem nice, they could very well be not nice at all. And you just don't know. So the Illuminati is the behind that. Obviously, I don't know how much of the history or your fans would know, but The Illuminati was put together, started by Adam Weishaupt, who was a Jesuit scholar who flipped out of the Jesuits, who were a particularly nasty band of individuals, and flipped into Freemasonry at a certain point. And then he flipped, I think, like I might be getting my timeline messed up, but he flipped into Kabbalah at a certain point. He became a Kabbalah master as well, which is Hebrew mysticism. And then he sort of combined all of that into Freemasonry. I think that's where that one went. So it's kind of a wild path, but he was one of the ringleaders. And then he helped develop it out in a hierarchical structure. Basically, if you think like a pyramid, conveniently, at the top would be Satan. And then it goes down the pyramid, right? And there's different groups like the Council of Foreign Relations, the Rosicrucians, the Jesuits, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderbergers, all these different groups. And they all have like a power structure, that like a peck order, if you're talking about chickens. And he helped develop that. He really helped structure it and start it. So they went through a phase where they were taking over governments, and then some of the governments caught on to it and actually ran them out and killed off a bunch of them, and they had to go into hiding. And they went into hiding, and then they came back. And they sort of always been there. Ever since they started, they've always been there, either out front blatantly in some cases, or behind the scenes. After they had a bunch of them murdered and a bunch of the freaky stuff went on, they pulled back and they regrouped. They kind of rethought things, and now they prefer to work in the shadows, right? And they work through all these different organizations I just listed, and so many more. It's like the Matrix, truly. When every time Neo turns the corner, Mr. Anderson. You know what I mean? They're everywhere. Bring up a topic that's not popular. Bring up one of these topics that you want to talk about to the wrong person, you'll get Mr. Anderson, Maybe not those words, but you'll get it. And some of those people, they might not even know they're a part of it, to be honest with you. I think some of them don't even sit there and go, yeah, I'm part of the Illuminati. I think some of them, they're compartmentalized, and they're a cog in the wheel. And they know they're part of that cog in the wheel from the compartmentalization. But again, there's a structure, right?
So what is Freemasonry then? What is Freemasonry?
Well, oh boy, this will step on some people's toes again. But basically, Freemasonry, in its lower levels, is pretty innocent. Sort of like an old boys networking. You go out, you make some connections, you make some buddies. You guys scratch each other's backs. You make a bunch of money. That's good. I made a bunch of money. Hey, you donate to Freemasonry and you feed the monster, right? They're always looking for money, like the Catholic Church. They're always like, what can you donate to now? Since we just gave you those contracts to make an extra 100 or 200 grand a year, right? That's how that works, right? So Freemasonry is a ways up the step ladder, maybe one of the first steps for a lot of people, to allow you to make a series of decisions that's going to help Satan decide if he wants to pick you. It's going to put you in a notch in one of those categories to identify who you are. So even in Freemasonry, there's the coming up the ranks. Alex Jones calls them porch masons, and I think that's an apt term, right? There's guys that know in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th, 12th, whatever degrees, they know a certain amount of things, right? They don't know the whole thing because they're compartmentalized, and every step that they take is like a spiritual thing. The first thing they go through, one of the steps, is called the hoodwink, right? And they're spiritually blinded. Each step that they take to where they get to the last step, they accept Lucifer as their worshipful master. And that's where Freemasonry goes at the top. You accept that Lucifer is the grand architect of this world, and you would call him your worshipful master and be happy to call him that, right? So Freemasonry is a basic entry-level hierarchical structure to pick people to go up the food chain to see how far they're going to go with Satan. Even when you get your 33rd degree, and I could be totally off on this, I'm going on hearsay and gossip. I've never been a Freemason. I have no desire to be a Freemason, but I have done a fair bit of research into the topic. But from what I understand, at the 33rd degree, or even there's possibility to go at higher degrees, at some point, they ask you about which God you prefer, right? I think there's a certain amount of like, you pick whichever God, you know what I mean? And I think if you prefer like the regular Christian God, they kind of put you over in another area. But basically all it is in a nutshell, they ask you qualifiers until they see how qualified you are to go forward or not. And that's what Freemasonry is.
Okay. So we're going to pause right there and head into commercial. So let me just get into my segment here. And I got some feedback for you when we get.
Okay. I'm still in the show, but we don't have a host.
Yeah, sorry, no, I hit the wrong button there.
There you are.
Yeah, no, we're all good. Okay, so I'm gonna say my little thing here. Where's my thing? All right, so let's pause right here, and we'll continue after a message from our professional partners. Also, if you're listening to this live on KPNL Radio or on a future podcast, head over to youtube.com/Experiencer Support Association to see the video that goes with this audio. Remember, you are listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, a podcast by the Experiencer Support Association, and we will be right back.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis and was really taken by his research. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada. And just as interesting, he really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. Note for starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them. If you want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richardolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.
The same thing that draws aliens to our planet is the same thing that draws us to others. Exploration, curiosity, sustainability of life. That's why we go. It would make sense as to why they're visiting here.
Travis! Quit playing around, man. Get back here. Travis!
The last thing I remember was this numbing shock. Stunning sort of a feeling. Very powerful.
Get away from me!
I was just out of my mind with fear, just screaming the whole time.
It's been theorized that aliens prefer remote areas because they don't want to attract attention. Whatever it is that they're doing, they would want to do that in a less populated area. There are multiple accounts of the same thing from people from all over the world. People that do not know each other, do not live in the same cultures, and they're all looking up, they're all seeing things in the sky. So it would be naive of us to think that we're alone in the universe.
My mission is to assist and help those experiencing this phenomenon in such a way that they're able to continue and live with it, and also in a way that it can be measured, quantified, and reinforced within today's society, so that way it can be accepted and no longer viewed in a negative way. One thing that I do value in people is the ability to sense and feel when something is right and when something is wrong. That is a natural ability that we all share. Now, when we combine that with the paranormal and ufological abductions or visits, I have this sensation that these abilities are connected. Not everyone can sense, not everyone can feel. However, those who can are typically connected with something that we cannot explain. And part of my research is not just to investigate the experience, but it's also to understand and study the experiencer, to find out what they have in common with other experiencers, to try to figure out what the actual makeup is in order to be on that spectrum. There's a lot of it happening all over the world, and I do not know of any other study that is focusing on the individuals as people, only the phenomenon.
Welcome back. You are still listening to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. If you're enjoying this episode so far, please consider becoming a member of our channel and send us a super chat. Your membership will get you bonus content like exclusive videos, and it will help us reach our goal of launching our training center, Interstellar, the Academy of Ufology and Paranormal Studies. Also, if you've ever experienced an unexplained event involving the paranormal, UFOs, extraterrestrials, dogmen, or any other paracryptid, head over to tessacan.org/reporting system. The more reports we get, the more we will understand this phenomenon and how it affects our people. Let the others who have already reported be that example that proves we are making a difference. And if it wasn't for these reports, we would not be able to do what we do. And for that, we thank you. So let's continue with Shane Pettman. Before we went into break, you just ended with your analysis of Freemasonry, Illuminati, and I want to segue into the Christian side of thing, which has a similar organization called the Knights of Columbus. So what are they, and how do they differ from Freemasonry?
Well, like I said, there's a structure and there's a hierarchy, and so they got a place for everybody. And so the Catholic Church, via the Knights of Columbus, picks and chooses candidates to go forward to do the devil's work on earth. And certainly not everybody who goes into the Knights of Columbus is going to have any clue about any of this. That's not the point. The point is, at the top, you will have an opportunity to move forward, to do some sort of amazing or miraculous or special work for the Catholic Church, right? And they will test you. They will drop things along the way, and they will test you to see where you're willing to go with these things. And depending on your responses, it's like the old choose your own adventure books, right? Depending on your response, depends which direction you're going to go, right? Maybe you're just going to go back down the happy-go-lucky Knights of Columbus, run a raffles in the city direction. Or maybe you're going to go down a dark road into something like the Ninth Circle.
Are they not service groups that do voluntear work and community events?
Yes, exactly.
So,
okay.
So what's wrong with that?
There's a scriptural context here, right? And I'm not going to just throw you. I'm going to give you one verse, and I'm sure there's more. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cherry pick scriptures. I encourage everyone to take what I said with a grain of salt and do your own research, scriptural and otherwise, and you come to your own conclusions, please. But so the scripture says, marvel not, for Satan can manifest as an angel of light. So again, they're not going to fish you in with hey, let's come over here and do some evil, despicable things to small people. No, they're not going to fish you in with that. They're going to fish you in with, we're running rallies and we're doing raffles and we're organizing stuff. We're cleaning up parks. We're doing all these nice things. Satan has a principle, I believe, where he almost always, when he's organizing all of these groups, manifests as an angel of light first to draw people in. Nobody, I think, inherently, purposely seeks to do evil instantly unless they're demonized. Like, even everything has a structure, including sin, right? So they got to feed you some things that aren't even sin and then slowly work it in. Knights of Columbus is another feeder group, just like the Masons.
So, all right. So let's get into cult side then. What would constitute an organization to be a cult? And do those two, Knights of Columbus and or Freemasonry, fall into that?
All that a cult means at the root, from my own understanding, is secret. Secret. So do they have secret knowledge that they're not willing to share with others unless you're part of that organization? Mm-hmm. I would say with Freemasonry, absolutely. And I think with Knights of Columbus as well. If they're holding secret information and they are using any type of force to get you to keep those secrets, that's an occult. It's secret information, right? Also, another definition of a cult, of a cult, loosely, again, would just be something that I don't agree with. Loosely, right? So let's say I'm a Baptist. I would look at the Catholic Church and say, oh, that's a cult. Why? Because it doesn't agree with our denominational standard. Right? So I think there's a lot of cults out there today too. And I think, there's 33,000 or 34,000 Protestant denominations right now. And I would pose to any other Christian or non-Christian, which one's right? Which one's right? Which one's got all the answers? None. Mm-hmm. Why? Because you're going through a structure. The Bible doesn't say go through the Methodists, the Baptists, the Catholics. There's Christians even in the Catholic, even though I believe personally the Catholic Church is a cult. I believe there's Christians in the Catholic Church, just not all of them by any stretch of the imagination. What I mean by a Christian is someone who's born again, who has a personal relationship with Jesus and has a seriously vested interest in doing whatever it is that God would have them do according to his word. Right. So, yeah.
The demon guy popped in with a question or a statement rather. He says, reference to Bible verses should include chapter and verse contextual information.
Yeah.
What was happening at the time?
I'm pretty bad at that.
Wrote the verse.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No worries. I he's a member, so I read his comment because he's a member. So it just pops up.
I love it. I'm really sorry that I don't have the chapter and the verse. What I can do is come back at a later time, and I will certainly be more than happy to look up the chapter and the verse and put it in there for you guys.
Yeah, no worries. So, okay, so now we have all this mixture of stuff and all this collaborative and bunch of things going on in the world right now. Mm-hmm. When you were on the TV docuseries, The Devil We Know, that was a review on Sherry Shriner and her ministry. Mm-hmm. What is your opinion on that being a cult? Because that's what it was being portrayed as in that series. You were a former member of that. So where does that tie in to everything we've just talked about?
Well, that's a great question. Great question. So if you guys watch the show, Sherry had a lot of controversial ideas. And I don't discount people because they have controversial ideas. In fact, I'm willing to listen, right? I've been around these things and I've studied these things a long time. And I've been around long enough to know that I have a high capacity to be wrong. I've been wrong a lot of times. I've had to eat a lot of humble pie, and I still could eat a bunch more. So I hold a lot of my beliefs very loosely. I take everything with a grain of salt, and I reserve the capacity to be wrong at any point in time. So what I do is I try, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I try to be humble, right? In the case with Sherry, she had a lot of controversial stuff. She had things I didn't agree with, but I would sit there and I would shut my mouth and I would let Sherry be Sherry. Let you be who you want to be. Yeah, I'll butt in. Yeah, I'll say things and I'll test things here and there, but I'm not going to just come in and stomp all over people. You see, a lot of people, when they start researching these things, they start to formulate ideas. They're open to learning. And then when they figure they've learned something, they get excited and they immediately want to go and beat everyone else over the head with it. And that especially applies to Christian people. So in Sherry's case, I let Sherry be Sherry, and I decided chew the meat and spit out the bones. That's what some of my friends would say. I chewed the meat and spit out the bones. Sherry had some very interesting stuff. A lot of the things that are really touchy subjects in the world here today, she was talking about 10 years ago. 10 years ago. She got some of that information from the Bible codes. She got some of it from a lot of places. And I don't even, oh, here comes a big train. I think I'm going to take a little walk or I'm going to get drowned out. But she got a lot of the information from a lot of different places. And especially, she talked a lot about hearing from God. And Yah, or Father God himself telling her. And I believe that. So I took it with a grain of salt. I let Sherry be Sherry. She shared a lot of information. I learned a lot of things. I know where she stands. One day I pushed it too far. I wasn't allowed to be in there. I'm going to keep walking here. Sorry if it gets loud for a minute. So, anyways, when it comes to Sherry, we were good friends, but one day I decided to push the envelope a little too much. Sherry had been through a lot of stuff. She was very opinionated, and she just shut it down. That was it. I couldn't be in the chat group anymore. We're still friends online. I could still talk to her when I wanted, but not on the same level, because I wasn't willing to exactly toe the line with everything she said, and she cut me off. So at first, when they were doing the interview, I didn't want to say, hey, I was in a cult. But then when I actually went and looked at the dictionary definition, well, I guess by hanging around her, I sort of was, right? Like, I didn't buy into everything that she said. I don't believe in worshiping other people, right? Like I told you earlier in the behind the scenes, I have a lot of famous friends and they do a lot of different stuff, and who cares, right? I've always tried not to be a fanboy, just be cool, just be one of their friends and just treat them like a normal person, right? So that same thing, I did the same thing with Sherry, and one day it didn't work. And as I got those questions later on down the road, I thought, well, I guess Sherry kind of was running a cult, right? Like, all of her friends would say, no, she absolutely wasn't, but I don't know. It's complicated, hey? Like the Facebook status, it's complicated.
It is complicated. So, all right. So cults, yeah. Like, I mean, anything could be constituted as a cult. Anything that is receiving money, you're being told to do certain things, followers and things like that. Any organization, the government could be a cult by definition. Any religion could be a cult by definition. So I just think the word cult is a negative word to describe things that are normally good and that are perceived as good, but just when they go bad. Like, it's just like there's angels and there's demons, and good people and bad people, it's still the same. It's still a structure, it's still a group, it's still, I think the term cult just kind of comes out whenever someone has a bad experience with it, or there's a concern because they're not in it. Now, where does reptilians fit in this whole thing? Because we touched on government, we touched on we beat around the bush, extraterrestrial in origins, I guess, within the Bible, and it's where does reptilians fit in this whole mix of things? So that was one thing that I really wanted to get into. We got 40 minutes left of this show, so let's talk about reptilians.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to talk about that. So, contextually, I believe that reptilians are a subsect of angels called the seraphim angels.
Okay.
But it's still more complicated than that. There's petroglyphs all around the world across many diverse types of peoples of all different indigenous groups, different continents, different times, and they have petroglyphs of feathered serpents, of these reptilian creatures like crocodile men, all these different things. And I don't think all these people across all these different cultures and sects and times and everything just dreamt that up out of the clear blue sky. I think they were carving into rock, which is not just a doodle. I think they were carving into rock things that they saw or interacted with. And so today, I believe that there are shapeshifters or reptilians in the world. There's not just reptilian shapeshifters, but the reptilians have like a cloaking system or thing that they can do so that they appear human. And I also believe that some reptilians have a way to inhabit humans. So the Bible talks about the God of gods, or the one true God, the God above all gods, as being the Lord of hosts. So he's the hosts. So we have host bodies that host we have our flesh, and then we have our soul and our spirit. We're spiritual beings having a fleshly or a human experience. And so I believe that people can get deep into witchcraft, Satanism, Luciferianism, the devil's action, and that they perform rituals, especially at very high ranks, that they're groomed, even sometimes through organizations like the Boy Scouts, believe it or not, but they're groomed all the way up through the Boy Scouts, through secret societies like Skull and Bones and other things of that nature. And they're groomed all the way, and then they go and they do rituals. And again, they even have to have the proper bloodlines a lot of the time, but it's not always a prerequisite. And they do rituals to get rid of their soul. They don't know really that they're getting rid of their soul in some cases, but they're okay with it because the devil is offering them everything this world has to offer. Fame, riches, the hottest guys, the hottest girls, all the money, massive business, financial, everything you could ever dream of in the world. The devil has access to it, and he will offer it. And so they think, yeah, I'm going to get all this stuff. But what happens during the ritual is their soul is unseated. Their soul goes immediately to hell. And in the place of their soul, a fallen angel is able to take over that body. And so their spirit remains. Their spirit retains all their information of their experience in that meat suit up until that point in time. So it has all of the data to go off of, but there's a new person in the driver's seat. So I believe certain people within the government go through that ritual to be inhabited by a fallen angel or seraphim, which could have the ability to morph into a reptilian. Another name would be Vril, V-R-I-L. And there's a process that they describe called vril droning, where the vril is like it's like some sort of like an insect sort of thing or something, and it comes up over their head and then it goes into their right eye and drills in and like attaches to their spinal cord and everything, and it inhabits the body. And I think a lot of the people, you'll see a lot of really high-end people in Hollywood and royalty and everything else, and the Pope, all these different people, they turn up with a black eye. Have you ever seen that? They turn up with a black eye. It looks like they got smoked in the face. A big black eye, sometimes a black around the nose, but it looks like they took a wicked beating. I believe those are people who've gone through the vril droning process. So you're not dealing with a complete human being there anymore. That's not necessarily human. And this also goes to speak to some of those things that we can't really talk about on your show here tonight, but things that I might talk about contextually in my Telegram group. And some of these things that happen, the whispers, the things that we can't talk about here tonight, you ask yourself, how could a human do that? How could a human do such despicable and vile and disgusting evil? And I would like to reference you specifically to Ephesians 6 for our friend who had those questions, and where it talks about that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and strongholds and thrones and dominions. And we wrestle in forces interdimensionally. And that's what we're dealing with, right? Those people at those points of inherently evil deeds, those are not people you're dealing with. That is a puppet that is controlled, sometimes by oppression, sometimes by possession, and sometimes outright owned by the devil's posse. And you're not fighting that person. You're not fighting the flesh and blood. You can shoot that person with, or do awful things. You can end that person, but all you're doing is dooming them to where they're destined eternally, and the spirit continues on to go and oppress someone else, right? What you would be more apt to do when you're fighting any of these things, and a lot of these people here, unfortunately, have been in wars and battles. What you need to understand is that you can fight these things and you can win. You can get victory, but you've got to start thinking interdimensionally and spiritually. You really got to say, okay, no, hold on, think about it. It's not the person. It's not the person. It's not the person. I go through stuff every day in my own personal life. And it's really hard when someone's in your face or not doing things that you appreciate to sit there and say, you know what, and disconnect. But we have to train ourselves to disconnect from our fleshly experience and consider the greater context of things. So, yeah, I don't know sometimes I don't even know how I get some places on my little talks, but we were talking about reptilians.
Yeah, no, it's all good. You're it's off the cuff. We're live. It's good. So you mentioned earlier that people in government are the shape-shifting reptilians. So one, how do you know which are which, and like what are the signs? How are you able to tell, and who?
Well, to be honest, for me, I haven't seen a lot myself personally. I haven't seen anyone really shift in front of me. And I say that, I'm not asking for that, but I haven't seen a lot of it myself. I've done a lot of research. How can you tell some of the signs? Well, I believe that probably a lot of your viewers have something called spiritual discernment, right? You can, when you come into the presence, as an example, of inherent evil, you feel it. You know. When every hair stands up on your body, as a Christian, I would call that getting the Holy Spirit, right? God tells me when things are off, right? In a lot of different ways. And I don't want to limit it by saying, oh, you have to have this, and you have to check this box, and you have to check that. Personally, God speaks to me through songs. He speaks to me through other people. He speaks to me through nature. He speaks to me through, it's endless. right? But how do you tell specifically with the reptilians? You could see their eyes go like cat eyes, reptilian eyes. If you've ever seen someone's eyes go like slits, like a cat's or a reptile's eyes, that is one of the signs. If you've ever seen someone's eyes go completely black, that would definitely be a sign of, at a minimum, demon possession or possibly oppression. Or in some cases, and some people don't like to consider these realities, and they might not be there, but in some cases, you might not be dealing with a human. You could be dealing with a straight up spiritual entity that's posing as a human. That could be a demon, could be a fallen angel. There's a chance you could be entertaining regular godly angels, but you got to know how to understand that context and ask the right questions. As far as the reptilians, they told us a lot about them in TV shows, right? There's a famous one that you probably saw when you were a little bit younger, that I saw when I was a kid. Maybe I'm a little older than you, called V, The Final Battle. Okay. They talked about him in so many different TV shows. It's unreal, but that's unfortunately the one example that I would give the most. Okay. That's one of the ways that you would spot them. Another way that people pick them out, if you're doing an audio video thing, you'll be looking at their face, and all of a sudden their face will go squirrely and pixelated, but it's not like a regular pixelation that normally happens. Like, it's sort of unexplainable. It's like a square pixelation that'll happen in their face, and then behind the pixelation you can see like little parts of the reptilian will come out and different things, right?
So what's the technology behind that though? Like, that's not just like a glitch in the video recorder or anything like that?
I don't personally think that. I think it could be in some cases, but if it glitches in the video recorder, how come the person next to them doesn't do that? Or how come everybody in the room doesn't do that? Lots of times it's strictly on the character and on and around their face. I think they have some sort of a dimensional technology that allows them to cloak and appear human, but they're just simply not human. Right?
That's interesting. So are they in the Bible?
Absolutely. So in the Hebrew, it's called Nakash, Nachhash. And another name that I believe they're called is the Dragons of Arabia.
Okay.
If you wanted to look that up. I'm sorry I don't have the scriptures.
No, it's okay.
Like I said, I do everything on my cell phone. I don't even have a laptop, so.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So, all right, let's get into some of the comments here from the guys. The demon guy has mentioned. We're going back to are you all right there?
I am fantastic, but I'm in the hood a little bit, so okay, you might hear the odd cop going by or something else. I'm in a park. Unfortunately, I'm running out of daylight, so I got to come out onto the main drag so you can still kind of see me.
Yeah, no worries. I just wasn't sure if this turned into an episode of Cops. We're just
Cops.
Getting right into it.
There you see me running.
So Tim, the demon guy, had commented. He said, "I would suggest that cults are normally centered around one person's view. As an example, he said Billy Myers or Joseph Smith. Are you familiar with either two of those?"
Billy Myers had basically like an alien cult in his backyard, but he experienced a lot of very extremely interesting phenomena. I haven't read up on him for years, but he certainly had something going on. That's for sure.
What about Joseph Smith?
What was the other one?
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith was that not the founder of Mormonism?
Yep, you're right.
Okay. So Joseph Smith had communications with the fallen angel.
Okay.
Moroni, if I'm not mistaken, his name was Moroni or Moroni.
Moroni, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Call him baloney because he was full of it. But yeah, sure. Yeah, baloney.
So
Yeah.
would that be a cult as well?
Oh, absolutely.
What's Mormonism?
Absolutely.
What's Mormons?
Mormonism. Okay, so this is an interesting little tie-in. A lot of people that go around the Mormon tabernacle there have said that there's tunnels back and forth between all the different places in the Mormon institutions, and they have seen reptilians in the tunnels. That's been reported a lot of times. So yeah, the Mormons are actually directly connected with the reptilians. So I would just say the Mormons are a hierarchical structure, again, that starts at the bottom, seems very nice, seems benign, seems like, wow, they're doing these nice things, or, you know, they have cool things that they offer you, right? Like, who doesn't want sister wives or something? You know what I mean? So, yeah, here we go again. Sorry about this. It's New Year's in Canada. They're getting lit here, you know? This is the ambulance now. Maybe there was a crash. I don't know. Anyways, they start you in. Yeah. They start you in on these things, and they filter you through the process, and you land where you land. And then they work with you from there. If you're at one level, they want you to take one more level up, right? They never want you to go backwards. They got an agenda, and that's straight to hell. But let's take as many people with you before you go as possible. And yeah, they're trying to work that same plan on everybody.
So is it like, with all these different perspectives, all these different religions, all these different systems, you know, everything seems to be the trend. What I'm hearing from you is that everything leads to hell or Satan outside of what you're a part of. So what makes your particular group or following, I would say, different? And how does that lead to good and not to bad?
I have friends and different social medias and whatever else. I don't really have a lot of friends, like, locally, maybe 4 or 5 people that I talk to, but I don't have anybody where I have people that I talk to. I would say I have people that I mentor. I have people that mentor me, but I don't really have a vested interest in forcing them to do anything. My goal is to lead by example. I'm not trying to be a used car salesman or anything. You can make whatever choice you like. I would prefer that you made one that leads to heaven. And that's my goal. I mean, if you disagree with me, okay. You know, my thing is, I got enough hate and misery and fighting in my life. I got enough. Had enough. Don't want more. I don't want to audition for more hate and fighting and misery in my life. I've had enough. So if we're going to disagree, I want to disagree in a loving manner. That doesn't mean I hold your hand or wipe your butt or tell you you're right or do whatever, because that's not truth. I'm after the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth is like a slap in the face or a kick in the rear end. But you don't have to be mean about it all the time. You don't have to be a bully. Just because I'm saying I disagree, I don't want people to think, oh, I'm a Mormon and he hates me. Or, oh, you know, I'm into this and he hates me. No, I don't. I just disagree with you. And in any of these situations, anybody can call me on it. And you your evidence, and I'll show you my evidence. Let's be loving about it. Let's not forget that you have a large capacity to be wrong, and so do I. Let's not forget that, no matter where we stand. But like I said again, if I can't stand up to scrutiny, if my evidence doesn't stand up, then it doesn't stand. If your evidence doesn't stand, then it doesn't stand. It's the same thing. So let's just keep looking at evidence.
Okay, well, forward. Let's talk about evidence. Let's go back to Freemasonry. So when you had done your research, have you ever spoken to a Freemason?
I was actually good friends with one at one point, but unfortunately he passed years ago. I have spoken.
How
with
was
a
that
couple
relationship before
Freemasons.
he passed?
Oh, beautiful, because I was oblivious. You know, he said what he could say, but he was reserved in some things. And I think in the same right, if I was here today with the knowledge I have today, I would know that some of the things that he said were lead-ins, they were qualifiers, and I never met the criteria. Right.
Well,
so
the criteria for becoming a Mason would be a man of 18 years of age, freeborn, of mature age, and has to believe in a higher power. It's not specifically not specific to any deity. It can be anything. So how could you?
Yeah, you're right.
You do fit the criteria.
But did I ask him the right questions?
What is the right question?
Did I? You've got to ask. You have to give permission. Now, what we're touching on right now is again part of a hierarchy that I would say is a spiritual hierarchy. So the entire spiritual world, this is a critical principle, I feel like. The entire spiritual world operates on a legal context and a legal framework. And so I never asked the correct questions to be invited to be a Freemason. I never showed interest the way that they...
And he's gone. I think his phone has died. I don't know where he is. Well, everybody, I was leading into the big reveal there, but let's see if he comes back on. Tim, the demon guy, says, let me. Oh, there he is. I thought they got you, man.
I find it really strange that that dropped at that point.
So as you were, what were you saying?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear me,
brother? I can hear you.
You can't hear me.
What a gong show! I'm gonna jump in my van here. Oh, please, God, help our show to be able to continue on. I'm just trying to bring truth and context to people and help them to make positive choices in their life. Please help this show to work well. Turn on the microphones, the cameras, and help us still to interact and enjoy each other's company. Make a difference in each other's lives, I ask you, Jesus. Amen. Hey, where are we at here?
Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you.
I can hear you. So just talk. I can hear you. Talk.
I'm gonna do that.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Let me try this again.
So I'll just kind of fill the air while we're waiting. Tim, the demon guy, says Boy Scouts are far from satanic. Yeah, I depends on what kind of Boy Scouts you got happening there. Tim's a Boy Scout. Tim and I have this little competition about each other there whenever we're doing camping stuff or forestry stuff. Army versus Boy Scout. One match fires, a whole bunch of things. If he's listening right now, I don't know. Shane, can you hear me? Are you still here? All right, well, guys, you guys are here listening to the podcast, ask some questions for me. I will shoot the shit with you guys until our guest comes back. We got 15 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, let me see here. Question from Scarborough Sasquatch Station: the internet chat lines being controlled by the reptoids. I can't say if they've been or not. Like, I mean, okay, so internet. I'm still waiting for him to pop on here, so let's assume he's not coming back. Shane, sorry about that. We will connect whenever you can afterwards. Thank you so much for being here. This sucks, man. Sorry to hear about that. So the internet chat lines are being controlled by the reptoids. We don't even know who's controlling what anymore. I was so intent in that conversation that was leading into trying to figure out what was going on. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, we got to prove if reptilians exist. I mean, I understand where he's coming from, his belief process. I'm a host right now, so I kind of wanted to remove my thoughts on here in case he comes back. There he is. There we go. Perfect. Good time. Saved by the bell. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear me? Oh, boy. So Demon Guy says, I heard you. Still waiting for your one-match fire. I will do a one-match fire. I did not witness your one-match fire to me. I think you cheated. Probably threw some gasoline on the fire or something. I don't know what you did. But yeah, guys. So I really don't know how to fix this. Might just have to end the show because we've lost our guest and we're not able to connect. And I'm just talking to myself. That sucks. Yeah, no, he's gone again. So what do you guys want to talk about? What would you like to talk about? Scarborough Sasquatch Station, you said glitch on the face or the hands of Cher and Tina Turner. So you think Cher and Tina Turner are reptilians? Scarborough? Hey, Shane, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, there's a bit of an echo, but we can make it work.
I'm in my vehicle. I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with the headphones, but as you can guess, I'm fairly suspicious.
Don't worry about it. We got 12 minutes left.
Let's fill it.
So where were you?
Well, we were talking about the hierarchy, and we were talking about Freemasonry, and I didn't ask the appropriate questions, and I didn't grant the appropriate permissions to be led down those roads from a spiritual context. So, like the vampire movies. I'm sorry. I'm in my van and my headlights have working that hot. I can turn them on. I'm trying to get some light in here, but think of the traditional context of so think of the traditional context of vampire movies.
Okay.
So in a vampire movie, a lot of them, the vampire show at your door. What do they do? The vampire asks you a series of questions, so that he can commit. If you don't give the vampire permission, come in your house. That's the same thing we do with our mouths every day, with every word that we speak. Give permission for is of a demonic nature to oppress us or possess us, or we give power to God and His angels. God's angels with angels co-workers. We don't worship it. They are definitely our co-workers, and we're giving power to God, to the enemy are our words. And every word that you say will be used in a court of law. Definitely applies in spiritual realms as well. So I didn't give those permissions, and I never went down that road. That's why I was not eligible Mason, even though I would meet the basic criteria. They're simple. They're laid out, like you said. I never met that criteria because I didn't take the step. Actually.
So the rule is just to ask one to be one.
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened if you asked?
I don't know. It's like a choose your thing.
Because that would be the only way you would know for sure.
You're right. Things you can't know unless you become a Mason. Well, when you go down that path, I believe that peripheral research was enough to lead me to a set of conclusions where they stand, and what side they land on, and any part of it. That's not hearsay if you've heard it directly from a Freemason's mouth. A fair bit. There's a famous video on YouTube. Pulled and scrubbed. They pulled and scrubbed so much it's a literal book there. It's Fahrenheit 51. But this video was around for the longest time of this guy questions to a Freemason, and he was kind of gearing Mason. What are the ambush journalism? He's jamming out of his Freemason convention and asking the guy questions. And after a while, the guy started to be a little frustrated. And he's like, "You would call Lucifer your worshipful master?" And he was like, "Really well?" And the guy's like, "Yes, we would call Lucifer our worshipful master. We do love him." And he started saying all about architects and all these different things. And he was happy to say it. Yes, absolutely. And it's like, wow, that's enough there. You know what I mean? Right? If you want to go deeper and study what you want, as far as you want.
You would only call Lucifer a worshipful master if Lucifer is the higher power that you accept into your life when you become a Mason.
Call him the architect.
Great architect of the universe.
The great architect, yeah. Yep.
And that could be any deity that you apply to. So anyone can believe in anything as long as it's a higher power to be a Mason. So it could be Lucifer, but it would be contradicting because what Masonries do is they teach good people to be better good people. So you couldn't believe in Satan unless Satan was good.
And that is definitely a major thing that it preached around the world. Especially, I would say the basic of ancient aliens. They found the whole thing that the aliens and Lucifer got. He's not actually a bell. If you watch Lucifer on TV. Constantly. He was good. No, it's wrong. Actually, the God of the Bible is the brutal person forcing people to do that. He just wanted to go, He wanted to give you a little more information, and so that's the rub. And again, you got to decide for yourself. Again, I'm completely like my dad used to say when I was a kid. He was a trucker. He said, "I'm from Mississippi, show me state." You know what I mean? Which is what they say on their light, right? That's right. But basically, I believe that leave clues. Supernatural world. But any people who believe the fallen angels, cryptids, any of those things, you've never seen it, or you never known anyone else to ever see it, and somebody just told you a story, or do you believe those things on a evidence that you've got time or through personal experience? Those conclusions. That's where I'm at. Is Freemasonry, what are these things? Evidence. There's a lot. There's nowhere to talk about it today. We could talk about days on the internet unscathed. And 5 years ago was pretty good. 10 years ago was well, you could talk about anything. But now you almost can't really talk about anything. There's a burning. We're like right in the middle. Animal Farm, 1984, Fahrenheit 451, all of it. And so I have a holdout, last place where I speak my own beliefs on Telegram. Group, you create a means truth dares. I just have to note there for some of my close friends, and we talk about those things. We don't interact that much. We're back and forth. We're drops of really, stuff that just ought to be brought to the mainstream anymore. Stuff that, some of my guys who've got 3,000 subscribers had their channel squashed over. Some stuff that my friend are tortured by the government for, right? These things really happen, unfortunately, right? And I talk about get to the truth, right? I'm not trying to beat people over the head or be a salesman, but I'm trying to get for the truth, for evidence. I'm weighing evidence. I'm looking for answers. I'm looking for other people evidence and looking at answers, because I believe that old business euphemism, a smart team beats a smart person every time. We're all in to work together as friends. On any text, we're gonna be able to go a lot further. Like that other one where they said, "I've stood on the shoulders of giants to see further than that." That may not be the best analogy because I'm not too fancy, but you get the gist of it, right? We're a lot smarter for working on these things, and let's just weigh the evidence and let the evidence do the talking, right? Who cares what I think? Who cares what you think? Who cares one thing? Show me the evidence. It's like the old Jerry Maguire movie. Money. Show me the evidence, and respect me enough to make my own decision, and I expect to make your own. And hopefully, we can still be each other, even if we disagree, right? That's a big takeaway for me. If you can't be kind to people, if you can't treat people in a loving manner, you're already feeding the enemy, feeding them power. You're the battery, and you're gonna choose. Are you gonna feed? You're gonna feed to the enemy, drained and beat up and destroyed, and wallowing it of the horrible things that are available in this world, or are you gonna choose to connect to God? Personal relations with Christ. Choose to have a relationship. And again, I'm not saying challenge. Just laid out the same challenging work in a lot of times. I've said to my friends, right? Because I don't like being beat, and I don't expect that you do either. I've said to a bunch of people, listen, do me a favor, respectfully, ask God, be real, please speak to me. Say something. I don't know. I'm not planning ideas in your head. What you and God talk about is between you and God. But ask me, show me something. Speak to me. Ask him respectful, malicious, angry. Leave your baggage behind and just be humble and talk. And I promise you, if you do that and he will speak to you. When he speaks to you, don't ever stop speaking to him. Ask him for more. Ask him to show you more. Get a Bible, 66 book Bible. That's the end for me. Let's start there. Get a Bible and say, if you're real, show me what you want to show me in this Bible. I promise you, will knock your socks off. He will show you stuff beyond your wildest dreams. You'll be running around like you're up. What? If you enjoy interacting with the super, I gotta say, be careful. But careful in a good way. You really lost it now. And I promise you, Humble yourself. Look historical aspects of Jesus, right? And you could go off on a tangent with Geist or any of these movies and say these mythologies and all these different. But the historicity of Jesus is without question. Even atheist scholars agree that Jesus existed, that he died on the cross, that a lot of these things legitimately happened, and that's without even using the Bible. You have an opportunity to have a connection with this universe and connect good way beyond your wildest comprehension. I'm asking you to make that connection. Share it with others. Share it with me. Share it with whoever, in a kind, loving manner, in a considerate manner, like we talked about. I know you'll be excited. Again, don't beat people over the head. Try and be humble and loving no matter what. And meet people where they're at. Just because you've had an experience doesn't mean anybody else had that experience. Because you think your experience is 100% and you've got it and all your evidence is rock solid. Sure you have the capacity and you are wrong about things and you always will be. So will I. So suck it up and just be humble. And let's go out and make a difference. Not get locked into that the evil that surrounds us and launch and pop.
Perfect. No, that's good. That's a good way to send it off. So, one second. I got you muted right now because I don't want the echo to come back here. So it's good. So this is good. You can hear me, right? Perfect. Okay. So we're at the end of the show. I want to thank you so much for having for coming on the show and expressing all this stuff to us as well. I know we had technical difficulties, so the back end will be a little bit muffled. There was a little bit of delay when we made it through. Everything is great. And can you hear me now? You can still hear me, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to send off and say goodnight to everybody, and then we can talk for. I'll message you on Facebook after this, and then we'll carry on from there. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for the comments. Sorry for the technical glitch, but this stuff happens. We're live. We're connected all over the world from different places, and there's a lot of I want to say at the end of the day. Since we talked about many faiths, many religions, many types of organizations, whatever you belong to, whatever you subscribe to, if it leads you to do good, do that. As long as it leads you to good. And I think I'll end with that. All right. So thanks for watching, everybody. Keep your eyes in the sky. I have my lunchtime video tomorrow, so we'll see you then. All right. Heed the world. Peace.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, where together, my friends, we own the night. On our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a place called the SOR Sightlines Report. All of our investigations and people who inquire are turned over to TESSA, the Experiencers Support Association. Ryan Stacy and his crew, what I like about them, they're independent. They're not working for anybody, and they want answers. We want answers for our listeners and people who inquire as well about their experiences. It's a great tandem, and we love being teamed up with TESSA. If you haven't heard of us before, that's okay. We'd love to earn your listening ears. Join us 9:06 Pacific Time, 12:06 a.m. Eastern for 3 hours of live entertainment, 7 days a week.
Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Hello, new YouTube member. Guess what? You've just unlocked bonus content that no one else has seen before, and you get exclusive access to some neat features. If you join the Experiencers Anonymous tier, you've unlocked loyalty badges which will appear next to your name when you join us live during any of our videos. The longer you stay with us, the cooler the badge will be. Also, you get to use these cool custom emojis that we made just for you. You also get to access our private Discord chat where we can communicate all the time privately. All you have to do is email us at admin@tessacan.org. Let us know you want in on the discussion and we will send you the link directly to Discord. This tier also unlocks early access to new videos, behind the scenes and blooper footage, as well as some exclusive videos made just for members. All that for $2.99 Canadian a month. If you join the unclassified tier for $4.99 Canadian, you would get everything I just said, plus extended footage of some of our featured videos, a discount to our merch store, and so much more. If you are a member of the unclassified tier, email us at admin@tessacan.org and let us know, and we will send you a discount code for the Paranormal Hangar. All proceeds go back into the mission and help us create educational content for you and the rest of the world. Thank you for being a part of that journey. There are lots of perks, so make sure you check that out. Also, you can use this tab to share and communicate with Tessa. That's it. Unless you have a better idea. If you do, email us at admin@tessacan.org if you have any requests for videos or bonus perks or anything at all. Really, you are in charge. Don't be afraid to reach out. Thanks for your support, and if you know anyone else who may benefit, please share our channel. The more people we have, the more we can help. And thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. Say it with me. Say it, Tim.
Heed the world.
Heed the world.